Hello, hello, and welcome back to the cellblock Scorch. I'm Cricket, and I'm recording my winning piece this week. The prompt was by Bones. An opportunity well lost. One Friday at a bar. She laughed, one hand batting the air in front of her face. No, but do you ever think about where your life would be if you'd chosen something different? Now that's kind of a deep question, he mused, glancing around at the crowded bar, the pulsing lights, the music pounding in his ear. Looking back at her, he shrugged. I don't know, not really. Do you? Oh, sure, she answered enthusiastically. I think about it all the time. I could have married Kevin, the guy I dated in high school, but he turned out to be a jerk. Or I could have picked a different university, chosen a different career. And who knows? There are so many lost opportunities. Maybe I'd be famous. I always wanted to act. I could have been like Jennifer Lawrence or someone, you know? Instead, I'm a supervisor at a bank, drinking on the weekends. It's a good life, but it could have been different. Mm-hmm. He nodded noncommittally. Of course, there are some things I'm glad I missed. She leaned closer, almost conspiratorially, and put a hand on his arm. Like the internship. She paused dramatically, clearly awaiting his response. Why? She was obviously interested in him, and she was nice, but well, he just wasn't too sure. No harm in letting this conversation play out, though. It was huge. An international company working for one of the higher-ups just before my last year of school would have made bank. But I took a different job. And then that summer, it came out that the whole company was a Ponzi scheme. None of the investments were real. None of the money was getting returned. The CEO disappeared. Everyone thinks he probably got offed. Oh yeah, he nodded. I remember this story. What was it, 3 years ago? If I remember correctly, that intern brought it to light. Isn't she sort of a hero? Oh, definitely, she was leaning closer again. But she hasn't found a job since. Nobody in the field trusts someone who goes to the media with news. I mean, she couldn't have handled it internally. Everyone was involved, but nothing good has happened for her since. It's not really fair, but well, c'est la vie, am I right? She took a sip from her drink. So you see, I'm glad I didn't take that internship. Just another proof of the universe looking out for me. Does the universe usually look out for you? He smiled wryly, absent-mindedly running his finger along the rim of his glass. Always, she nodded earnestly. Things just work out for me, you know? My mama always said I was born under a lucky star. I can get away with anything. Pranks, cheating in school, although I haven't done that since I was 14. My parents always trusted me. At work, people always take issues to other supervisors. I'm living the good life. It's just the universe has my back, you know? A grunt. Some part of him felt bad that he was being so apathetic, but it had been such a long week, and he'd just come to the bar to think and drink. Didn't really want to talk to people. I mean, she's pretty and all, but I just... And tonight, I almost didn't come here. I almost stayed home. But I felt the universe calling to me, so I came, and I got to meet you, Chris. Isn't that fantastic? Doesn't it just seem like fate or something? She was staring up at him, wide-eyed and hopeful, and Chris suddenly realized that she had very different goals for this conversation and this evening than he did. A small swell of panic rose in him as he quickly considered the options. Hang out and talk with Liz. She'd probably invite him home with her. They'd end up dating. Could he stand that? She was nice, but not really his type. Universe and fate nonsense, incredibly enthusiastic. Would they end up married? Or could he extricate himself gently from the conversation? Somehow. Crap. I'm so not good at this sort of thing. Liz, Chris rubbed the back of his neck uncomfortably. Listen, you're really sweet and all, but I just came here to think. See, I'm not really looking for anything or anyone right now. Her face fell. She started to apologize right as he did, and they awkwardly laughed about it. I should go, Chris said, standing up. Right, she said, turning back to her drink, obviously disappointed. Chris walked down the bar and settled his tab, then left. It was a short walk to the subway station, and then a few stops home. Over the next week, Chris found himself thinking about Liz and the questions she had asked. His life would have been different for sure if he'd hung around that bar and stayed longer with her. He'd be less lonely, but he'd be less happy. He was sure of it. Turning on the news after work one day, he was surprised to see her face on the screen above the caption, "Serial killer apprehended after latest victim found." Elizabeth Lawson, a newscaster was saying, has been arrested in connection with the string of missing men in the city over the past few months. She targeted single men, picking them up in bars and bringing them home with her before... Chris muted the TV in shock. That could have been me. I would have been that victim. Different. My life would have ended. Whoa. Now that was an opportunity well lost.
Hey, it's Bones, this week's judge. This was a fun Scorch to read. It's the second one in the Chris universe that Cricket has going on, and I find that universe a really good time for two reasons. One, Chris is just a delightful man. Two, it's not a unified universe in that there's an intense plot or a wild magic system or a specific group of characters. It's just like Chris. This dude bro Chris, existing in a vaguely magical world and different snippets of what that looks like. It's fun. I also thought this prompt interpretation was good because in my brain, when I wrote the words "an opportunity well lost," I was thinking probably something that could have been good or beneficial to the person's future, and then it falls through, and it seems like it's bad, but actually it revealed like a different interesting path that the character ended up taking instead. Obviously that wasn't the way that Cricket took the prompt, and honestly that's one of the things I love most about the Scorch and giving the prompts is that everyone has different interpretations of the prompts and I get to read them and see what they are. So the fact that Cricket and I had different initial reactions to the prompt here just makes me really happy. It's a fun time to read into. All right, back to Cricket.
The end, I am screaming. Why did I put that last line on? It's so cheesy. I should have just had it end with him muting the TV in shock. Oh my gosh. Why did I make this Chris? I feel like I didn't know it was going to be Chris until halfway through when I needed her to have him have a name, and then I was like, Chris. And then because I named him Chris, I was like, well, now this is the same Chris. I made so many things happen to this man, especially at the beginning there. I just kept using him again. Poor Chris, I love you. I don't have a lot to say about this one. It was fun. The prompt I gave for the next week is songs are vehicles.
The Cellblock Scorch is a production of Stellacore, an independent group of nerds sharing their obsessions with the world. We can be reached at thestellacore@gmail.com through comments on your podcast platform of choice, our Instagram, Stella_core, and at our YouTube, also called Stellacore. Feel free to check out our other productions on our YouTube channel, our cosplays on Instagram, or if you would like to support our creative endeavors, check out our Patreon or donate to the Ko-Fi of the writer of your favorite Scorches.